So I wanted to share with you the most important part of my healing journey and the thing that actually allowed me to heal. It had nothing to do with diet. It had nothing to do with supplements. But what it was taking a long, deep, hard look at myself and what had got me to that point. So I had serious health issues. I had rashes, food sensitivities. I was a mess. My body was a mess. And what I had to realize was I was trying to chase magic pills. I was trying to chase tactics. And that held me back for about 5 years. Trying to heal my gut, trying to make things better, it actually held me back. I was always focused on, oh, well, I'll try this herb and I'll try this supplement. And when that don't work, I'm trying the next one. And when that don't work, I'm trying this one. And I ignored myself. I never wanted to take that deeper look at myself. And once I did that, it actually allowed me to heal very fast, like rapidly. Like within like 2 or 3 weeks, my skin completely cleared. And it's because I was holding on to so much emotional baggage. You see, most of the time when we want to change, we want to get healthy, it's not a specific strategy that's going to make the difference. We need to take a step back and we need to realize what got us to that point in the first place, so that way we don't repeat that going into the future. So what I mean in the example I'm using is I had to take a step back and say, well, how did I get this gut problem? How did I get these issues? It wasn't because there was a lack of supplements. That's not so that's not going to solve the problem. It's not the lack of supplements. It's what actions did I take to get me here? And I realized, wow, you know what? Every weekend came and I was over here drinking wine and drinking alcohol. Or I would use food as comfort. And I would look for things like bread and pastries and snacks and sugar and processed foods. I never really loved myself, never really respected myself. So I would always go to places like McDonald's and Wendy's and stuff as I was growing up. And these are the actions that got me to the point. Anytime I got sick, my answer was to run to a doctor. Because I'm not in charge of my health. That person should be in charge of my health and they should save me. So just give me whatever pill you think is going to make this thing go away. And that made the problem worse. So I had to actually take a deep step back and take a major look at who I was as a person. Why was I sabotaging myself? Why was I using food as comfort? Why was I trying something and then if it wouldn't work, I would fall off and give up. And the minute that happened, I'd revert back to my old ways. I'd say, oh, I screwed up already, or my rash is a little worse. Forget it. We're going out to eat. I'm having pasta. I'm having bread. I'm having wine. I'm having all this. And then guess what? It made the problem even worse. Now I felt guilty. I felt shameful. Now the problem's worse. And it's back to another cycle. So now I feel bad about myself. Now I go back to my old pattern and habit of, oh, I need comfort food. I'm looking for starches, sugar, pastas, bread, wine, lots of alcohol, desserts, all this stuff that's going to sort of make me feel a little better. Or I thought would make me feel better. I was looking for like a momentary high. And so that is the biggest takeaway I can share with you. So what we can do to actually change, because it's never, it's oh, this protocol or that protocol or this supplement or what herb did you use to help you heal. It's never that. There is always a strategy, and the strategy is so simple to heal. But what we have to take a look at is what is preventing us from being committed to the process? What is preventing us from taking the right actions? Why do we sabotage ourselves? What actions are we taking that are holding us back from the result that we want to achieve? So we need to be able to realize that first, because if we could commit to the process is very easy. It is very simple. But we have to look at all of our actions, all of our behaviors as a whole. This is the holistic picture. This is the holistic view. It's not just, let's take a magical pill or a supplement and my candida is gone. Or let me take this probiotic and now my gut's completely healed. It does not work that way. And that's what I can share with you from experience, because that's the thing that held me back for so long. So some main questions that we can ask, because it's all a matter of the questions we ask will create the type of results that we want. The more important the questions, the more valuable the questions, the more valuable the results we're going to get. So some questions we can ask are, what are the actions that got me to this point? Were you taking the correct actions every day? Were you getting enough water? Were you trying to eat vegetables with every meal? Were you eating lean protein? Were you doing all the right things? Or were you out drinking alcohol and out eating too much junk food and bread and processed food and fast food? Or you don't know how to handle stress, or you get down on yourself and then you end up sabotaging yourself and going back to your old behaviors? So that's what we have to ask first. What has got me here? What has got me to this point? Because we need to identify that in order to create permanent change. And then once we identify those actions, the next step we have to ask is, why do I do what I do? Why am I taking these actions? So we first have to realize what actions that we're taking that hold us back. And then once we do, we realize, well, why am I taking these actions? Oh, wow, I'm using food as comfort, or I'm using food as a form of entertainment and celebration, or whatever the case is, whatever you're going through, you have to sit and sort of ask yourself that question. Why are you doing what you do? And lastly, another great question you can ask is, how can I change some of the behaviors that are holding me back? So first we have to identify the behaviors holding us back. Then we have to figure out why we're taking those behaviors. And you have the answers inside of you. This is not going to come from a therapist. This is not going to come from someone outside of you. You know why you're doing what you're doing. All you have to do is ask yourself. Last one is, how can I change some of the behaviors that are holding me back? So if you do use food as comfort, how can you create that comfort in a different way? If you're using food as entertainment, what else can become entertaining besides food? We have to start thinking of those, because now we can come up with alternatives. We can come up with options. For years and years, I treated my body like a garbage disposal. I never took care of myself. I didn't respect myself. I didn't love myself. And therefore, that's how I showed up in the world. Miserable, sick, depressed. So depressed that I got into an attempted suicide on numerous occasions, and actually had to go through a whole series of therapy and all this stuff to try to get out of that major depression. But the answer was in me the whole time. I was treating myself like garbage. And I needed to realize that, and I needed to set new standards. I needed to set a new story. Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up in the world? What result am I looking for? I do things now that I never thought years ago that I would ever be doing in my life. I now have a high standard. I only want to eat the highest quality organic food I can get my hands on. I only want to cook the best possible nutrition for my body. I want to work out so that way I feel strong, I feel empowered. It helps me to look good, it helps with confidence, it helps me to feel good, it helps with my energy. I want to eat the proper foods that are going to nourish me, because I need to be able to show up in the world to help others, to serve others. And if I don't take care of myself, then I can't show up to help anybody. And these are some of the examples of the stories that I've had to create and rearrange in order to get to the point that I'm at now. And it's not that you get to a point of perfection and everything's okay. This is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing journey. But you're in control of the story you tell yourself. You're in control of the actions that you take. Whatever the circumstances, you have the responsibility, let's break that word apart, the ability to respond to the circumstance. So you can either look at your issue and your health problem as this crutch and this disease and this illness and something that you may not get through, and it's too difficult, and this magic pill didn't work and that magic pill didn't work and I'm ready to give up. Or you can look at that same situation a completely different way and say, wow, why is this happening in my life? And let's use it as a time to reflect on what got us there, why we take the actions we take, what behaviors we can change to create a more positive impact. And we're going to come up with the answers that are going to make healing easy. Because if if you create this story that change is difficult, that healing is difficult, that healing is hard, then that's what you're going to get. It's going to be difficult because that's how you're perceiving it. That's how you're thinking about it. How about let's see change as something exciting? Hey, what food works well with my body? Oh, wow, I ate that food, I feel better. Oh, wow, I ate that food, I didn't feel so good. It actually made me feel a lot worse. So probably that food's not so good for me. And now we create that childhood curiosity again, and we sort of have an adventure as opposed to a chore or a tedious task or this obligation to try to stick to a protocol. We now have this curiosity, this liveliness of, wow, what foods could I eat to make me feel as good as possible? Oh, wow, oh, wow, I tried a new recipe. Oh, wow, you know what? I never tried that vegetable before. I just tried it. That's amazing. I'm going to use that a little more. And now we have this whole world of variety and expansion and opportunity. And it's all that takes is that simple shift of the mind, that simple switch to be flicked on and just look at things in a different light. As long as we respect ourselves, as long as we love ourselves, as long as we believe in ourselves, that we're strong enough to see this thing through, that we're strong enough and we're committed enough to see this thing through, that we make a commitment to ourselves, that we're not going to give up, no matter what happens. Because if you make that commitment to yourself, you're guaranteed that you're going to win. You're guaranteed that you're going to heal. Yeah, it may take longer than others, but the biggest challenge is yourself. It's not what other people do. It's not comparing yourself to others on their journey. It's what you're going through. What's going to be the best action for you to take? What's going to be the best food for you to eat? What's going to be the best diet or best protocol that's going to work for you and your lifestyle? If you're a person that doesn't like to be too strict, then maybe going so strict with something like a GAPS diet or something may be too much for you at this point in time. So you need to sort of take a step back and see what can you actually apply. What's going to be the best route? So without making this video too long, that's why I wanted to share with you on this video, because I'm very passionate about the whole emotional connection of healing. Very passionate about mindset and psychology and how the mind works and why we do what we do. Because if we can understand that and we can break it apart, we get to know ourselves a little better. And once we know that, then we can create any result that we're looking for. Whether it be health, whether it be healing, or whether it be in another area of your life. So I'm Nick Vidal. That's what I have for you in this video. If you found this valuable, share it out. And also leave a comment below and let me know if you like videos like this. I believe this is one of the most important topics. And this can create the biggest impact and the best result in our life, as opposed to trying to chase a magic pill or a magic bullet or a special solution or a fancy protocol. Actually doing the real work is going to actually create the real result. I'm Nick Vidal. I'll see you on the very next video.